Never fear, the Black Belt Bots are here, presenting another epic experience with your host, RJ Redden.
Greetings, Grasshoppers. My name is RJ Redden, and entrepreneurs hire me to skyrocket their marketing because most feel like they're shouting into a black hole online. They're constantly trying to get traffic to no avail, and many end up being a carbon copy of everybody else. So, today, my friends, I've been waiting for this interview for a little while. I have got Miss LMA today. She is an amazing human that has a beautiful service, and I want to introduce her, welcome her into the fold. Welcome, Ella. So glad to have you here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Beautiful. Can you tell me all about what you do?
Absolutely. So I have a company called 1Degree, and what we do is help entrepreneurs who are scaling by connecting them with vetted vendors. So what'll normally happen is I'll get on the call with the CEO, the founder, and we'll say, okay, cool. You're trying to grow or pivot or expand, and let's figure out where the problem is. What's holding you back? We spend some time getting to the real problem, not just the symptoms of the problem. Once we're at the real problem, then I can make intros to vetted people that can do what they say they can do, that are in budget to implement the solutions.
Beautiful. So it's kind of like a concierge service for and an objective set of eyeballs. I cannot tell you how much that has meant to my business over the years to have someone from the outside come in and just say, "Hey, look, I know you think that the problem is here, but it's way back here." So gosh, how long have you been doing this?
We rolled this out as an offer 5-6 months ago. It picked up enough traction that we made it into its own company. What I was doing previously is I was working with people who had been very successful, either pre-social media or without social media. And I was helping them take all of their content, their copy, their funnels, put it into social in a way that monetized the channel and created a real connection with their audience. So being in marketing, social is the tip top of the funnel, tip top.
Right.
So if anything underneath isn't working, if emails aren't being opened because the copy's crap or the landing page isn't converting or whatever, I would always have to go in and look at the whole system and figure out if there was any holes I needed to plug for my stuff to work. And just you learn quick. You have one or two that don't work and you're like, okay. So just through doing that enough times, I got pretty proficient at diagnosing problems and what was really going on. And also I built a massive network very early because I kind of positioned my offer where I was working with people who were who had more experience or more successful than I was in business. And so I kind of was sitting down one day and I was like, man, I've done well with this business, with what I was doing before, but I made a fundamental flaw, which I think a lot of entrepreneurs make in the early days, which is that business was set up to grow and not scale. And when I had a coach who really helped me see it, and I was like, holy shit, if I want to get this thing to what my goals are, I'm going to kill myself in the process. Like there really wasn't much tangible way within a decent amount of time for me to step back and do more of the high level stuff. And so I was sitting there thinking, and I was like, what would be a way that I could take my skill set? I'm really good at diagnosing problems and seeing where we can optimize things from the ground level, not just what's showing up. And I have this great network. And I was like, well, what if I created a service where I still get to do the high level strategy work, which I enjoy doing and be on with clients and et cetera. But in terms of the implementation, I just give them the right person. And it's a warm intro. It's all within budget. Everybody knows about each other. And that's where 1Degree came from.
It's such a brilliant idea because I mean, now more than ever, I feel like companies, especially, entrepreneurs, digital folks, we need to be able to be flexible, and your company essentially gives them wings to fly.
Mm.
What I just think it's remarkable, because I grew up in days where you need to get a high paying job in a company, in a cubicle, in a you need to do the same thing over and over every day in order to be
Oh.
successful. And of course I didn't fit in that very well. And now we end up here, but your business, it helps people go with the flow, so to speak. You do a strategy, help find them trusted implementors, and then if the strategy changes, then we change again. Is that about what it is?
I would say the majority, like good business is boring business, right? Like it is like the whole thing, like, do what you love and follow your passion. Like there's some things that I do that I hate, but it helps me fill my purpose. Like I don't love doing research on podcast guests a lot of the time. I don't love creating systems and SOPs, which I'm having to do a lot of right now with this new company. But do I want to be the sole bottleneck for this company forever? No. So it helps me fill my purpose. So I would say definitely the most of the $10 million plus, all of the $20 million plus businesses that we work with are quite systemized. It's it's pretty predictable what's going to happen. What they need some help with a lot of the time is some ideation, some outside eyes. A lot of team and culture is showing up right now, because it's like, are we virtual? Are we not virtual? How do we bring everybody together? Like, how do we do this in a way where everybody's comfortable? So there's that aspect. So I guess there's variation within that, but for the most part, they're fairly streamlined.
Yeah. And I think what fascinated with me when we first talked was that, when I started my business on the couch 6 years ago, 7 years ago, holy moly, uh, it was all about, goals. It was all about goals, which are super hugely important. But you also focus on what system do you need to create to shoot past that goal. It's not about the goals necessarily. It's the importance is finding folks who can create the systems that they need to create. That's what fascinated well, that's one of the things that fascinated me about you. So let me ask you this: what about the company that you've just created, what fires you up in the morning? What makes you excited to do what you do?
I mean, I get to work with really cool people, which is fun. What actually fires me up? Honestly, I've really had to learn to embrace friction. My friend David Morrell talks about this all the time. And he kind of implemented it in me. And I was like, I love the way you said that. Is I've really had to learn to embrace friction and expect things to go wrong, and be like, we're probably going to have hiccups with this. And to be honest, some go really smooth. Like maybe I'm creating it, but when we're testing a new ad set, when we're putting together a new funnel, and let's say I'm involved in the overseeing of the implementation, it's really prepping people that like, hey, we expect this to have some hiccups. And when they come, good. It means we got them out of the way. So it's really just been embracing friction and getting curious about problems, as opposed to letting them be defeating. I'm one of those people where I usually, when I'm overwhelmed, not doing good, etc., I go into a shutdown mode, like just total shutdown. And this has given me the opportunity to really work through that. And for sure, I have like low energy days, but it's not the whole like mental shutdown. What's going on? Why can't I even look at this, etc.? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. And I've had my days too where it's just like, was that personal? Somebody says something or something happens, and it's like, do the algorithms hate me? Definitely have had that too.
And I'm not gonna lie, my Adderall helps. Like
I
legit.
have things I have my water, which really has come in handy. But and sometimes there might be some in it. No, not right now. Anyway, so yeah, but you have that mentality of embrace the difficulty because it's coming. Don't
Embrace
pretend.
friction.
Yeah.
Yeah, put
Um,
yourself in as many uncomfortable situations as possible. Embrace change, embrace culture growth, all of it. You've got to just jump into it. Otherwise, it's going to kill you. Like,
yeah, like death from a thousand tiny cuts is what I was thinking. But
well, like,
yeah.
yeah, mentally, it's going to like take you out of it. But anyway, sorry, you totally got a question here. You go.
Yeah. Well, you know, the exciting stuff, we've kind of talked about that. Who are the clients that you really, really love to serve?
We've been doing a lot with real estate lately, and it's been really, really cool. So one thing I would encourage everybody to do, regardless of where you are in your business or what industry, is go between industries. Go check out other industries and hang out with them and see what they're doing. This is something I actually learned from Jay Abraham, and when he was Jay Abraham's pretty legendary in marketing. If you're into marketing, you've probably heard of him. And I was looking at some of this stuff in his early success. And what he would do a lot of time is he would go to this like CD store and take what they were doing that was working and bring it over to this law firm. And
Yeah.
he looked like a genius because nobody had ever heard of this. Right. So totally organically through Clubhouse, I just kind of made some friends that were in real estate. And through those friends, I met more friends. And like, legit, I hang out with these people all the time. We do social rooms 4 nights a week. We chill, we laugh, etc. And I started to notice that so much of the stuff that they're doing, real estate people only went to real estate people. They only went to real estate social media coaches and real estate business coaches. And there was so much in digital marketing that they just weren't exposed to because they were not in the industry. They're not going to learn a new industry. And so much of people in digital marketing aren't going after real estate because it's a fairly intense niche. And they're like, well, why am I, I could just work with people who know my language. So that's been really cool. We're actually building out some neat, like really good funnels for that. It's like that one I'm quite excited about. So doing a lot of cool stuff in real estate. And then also online businesses, coaches, consultants, product providers, really anybody who's in a growth or a pivot stage. You can jump on a call with me. I'll give RJ the link. It's free. And if we can help, we'll let you know. And if not, I probably have a recommendation for you. But anyone really who's in that scale mode.
Yeah, and the growth and the pivot mode. There's so many, there's so many what I call jackals out there. Like people who just promise tons and tons of money in a very short amount of time, and all of the things and
Yeah.
all of that. I'm here to tell you, I've chatted with Ella, and she is the real deal. She is a genuine human being who wants to help you and is not going to blow sunshine up a certain area. So just so you know, yeah, that's fascinating to me. So how important on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being absolute, how important is it to know, exactly who you're going for when you are targeting people out there in the world to do business with you?
I mean, like, I think it depends on where you're at. And like, people say like riches are in the niches. People say niching down is niche or niche, whatever. People say niching down is death. Like, like it's one of those things where I think it depends on where you're at, but I think you do need to be very clear on the type of people that you want to work with and put yours. Like, I knew that I wanted to work with high ticket clients. Like, I knew that was my jam. And I was good with people. Like, I was just good with that type of a client. It always went very smoothly as opposed to an offer for the masses and doing low ticket stuff. So I've never ever sold low ticket. Really, even my group program when I was doing the social media, it was called Instafame Academy. Even my group program was like $5,500. Like, that was a high ticket group program. because I knew that those were the types of people that I wanted to work with. And I think there's an aspect of you niche down as you go. And I'm by no means the most experienced business owner, but once you have that, and again, good business is boring business. Once you have that and you zero in on it and you're speaking to one person, then I think it does become easier as long as you've got a good offer.
Yeah, it really does. It really does help, and especially with what you do, you customize to what people need. You customize that strategy. Um, I work with coaches a lot, and some of them just in the first 5 years, maybe starting out, maybe have a foot or two in in stuff already. And just what you said there, don't be afraid to create a high ticket only. If those are your people, then have a good offer and find your people. It's you don't have to go the way everybody else has gone. I think that's really important. So what do you do for engagement in your business when you are, kind of first in that journey with a client? What do you do for engagement?
Oh, like you mean when I first bring on a client or when I'm
Yeah,
looking? Sure.
like onboarding. How do you keep them, because they must need to get you a ton of information, yeah?
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I know that I've had my own experiences back when I was building websites. It was like trying to get information with people pulling teeth. So, how do you keep your clients engaged and working toward some of the big goals that they have?
Like, look, if their goals matter more to me than to them, we've got a problem. Like this is what, and again, this is what I mean, where I'm not to say that I couldn't improve with my messaging, but this is where I like to be clear on the type of person I'm working with and not necessarily exactly what industry they're in or what car they drive or how many
Yeah.
kids they have or all the other avatar stuff. Not knocking that. It doesn't really fit my model. So, for example, going into real estate and starting to work with some people in that niche, I've turned down more people than I've taken because going into real estate, I knew the type of person I wanted to work with. And I have no problem with helping people break their stuff down, helping them move through overwhelm, a little bit of imposter syndrome. This is totally normal. Like, you can't work with a business without working with a human, right? This is normal. But if I'm having to pull teeth then I didn't do my job initially, because my job initially is to figure out what you want. What's your true north? Do you want to be running $100 billion empire and build the next Amazon and be on planes 4 days a week, et cetera? Or do you want a lifestyle business? Do you want to be able to work 3-4 hours a day, pick up your kids, chill on weekends? And if we got that wrong, then that's a big problem, because generally when I see someone who's in that space, they're usually creating a life they don't want. And that's not a fun place to be, especially when you're at a tipping point of like, oh, holy shit, now I've got this business and I really just wanted something lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, a great point that you made there is, if they're not staying engaged, maybe I need to look at what I'm doing. And maybe I need to look at, who I've targeted in the first place. I know that when I started out in business, my targets were way too big. But I was trying to get everybody in the world, and I made all the classic first timer mistakes.
Oh, we
Uh,
all do. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, what great advice there. Yeah, because my folks, they're in their first 5 years normally, and kind of figuring things out. But I really wanted to bring you on because you have such a different take. Embrace the uncomfortable. Don't be afraid to go high ticket right off. So many messages there that I think that are really good for people to hear. I spend way too much of my time avoiding the uncomfortable. Maybe this won't ever happen, that I need to do this thing. Wrong. Absolutely wrong. So you taught me something today for sure. What, do you have any kind of pearls of wisdom for people out there, coaches setting up their businesses, getting going? Is there anything that you have to offer the folks on the close here?
Yeah, I would say focus on really building real relationships. We're really taught in entrepreneurship, you're one funnel away. You're like, what the fuck ever. Can I swear, by the way?
You must.
So like what, hustle, grind, I'm not knocking hustle culture. It's not super difficult to put in a lot of hours when you like what you're doing, but you're not always going to like what you're doing, heads up. But building real relationships, like don't get excited about getting to know new people, and having your network will bring you everything. It's going to bring you everything. Okay. So don't be transactional. Don't look at people for what you can get out of them. Start becoming friends with people that are 15 steps ahead of you in business. This will mess up your psyche a little bit. If I hired a therapist a couple months into this, because you're like, oh my God, I feel like I'm so behind. But start really building the network and building real relationships that are people you would hang out with. Because then what's going to happen is people you would hang out with, people you genuinely like, become clients, become mentors, become business partners, and life just becomes a lot easier.
Oh, so much easier. And it is not what they talk about. You were talking about hustle culture. I always talk about bro marketing. It's the same kind of stuff. Very high energy, very exciting. Those things only last a little while, though. You'll burn your energy out. Whereas if I love relationship marketing. I love to meet people. I absolutely love to network, get to know them, approach them as friends. That's the way for me. When the pandemic happened, I was doing bots. Bots were great. A lot of people knew my name. Bots still are great, and a lot of people know my name. But I went through the panic that everybody else has, and if I had not had those 2-3 people in my corner going, you know what, no matter what happens, we're going to get through it together. That wasn't because of a hustle. It was because it was a relationship. And that has saved me in my low times, and I've been there for other people. So thank you for that. Thank you for talking to us about that. And my producer, Russ, let's play a little deep bot thought for the people for a moment, if we can do that. This segment is brought to you by Random Acts of Kindness. Enjoy. All right, beautiful. So I did not warn you how long that would be, LMA. I apologize. we're just kind of getting to getting together on this podcast. But I want to thank you for coming along. Connect with LMA, everybody. She is absolutely worth your time, and the genuine article, and wants to see everybody's business succeed. So thank you for coming by, Ella.
Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to go into my little next segment, which is kind of a teaching moment every week here in the dojo, and I want to teach you about one thing. We kind of got into it a little bit inside the podcast there. And that was when something knocks you off your center. So I'm going to go back. Like way back into the past. Okay. We need a DeLorean. I'm going to take you back to when I was doing karate lessons. And one of the things that was the hardest lesson for me to learn personally was a lesson about staying in your center. So they put a hula hoop around my feet, and they said, RJ, we're going to send people at you. They're attackers, and you have to wait until they break the plane of the hula hoop to start defending against them. Okay. God, we can do that thing for an hour, and I will lean out of the circle every time. I want to meet those attacks head on, those perceived attacks head on. I want to, sometimes it's not perceived attacks. Sometimes in life, it's the desire to please people. Sometimes it's, hey, somebody hit me where it hurts, and I'm wondering if that was personal or not. So many, many things happen in business all the time that threaten to knock us off our center, that threaten to kind of pull us in a direction. And what we need to do as business owners is stand straight, stand tall, and deflect what needs to be deflected. And be in that circle. Stand in your stand. Well, I hate saying stand in your power. It's so what do you say? It's so cliche to say that, but for me, it's a really, really important thing. Anything can drag you off your center, and when I did that in karate, when people would come at me and I would lean out the circle, the problem is that your center, when it's off center, super easy to knock you down. It's super easy for somebody to come along and just sweep you right off your feet, and not in a good way. So, fellow coaches out there, fellow business owners, what I want to leave you with today is that simple mental exercise. Stand in that circle. Don't lean out of it. Wait until something comes to you. Properly evaluate, is this an attack or is it just somebody having a bad day? Your business will do better for it when you stay on balance, in the center, and in control, as much as we can possibly control the earth right now. You know what I'm saying? So that's it for this week. Next week, we'll be back. Same bot time, same bot channel. We never leave. So come watch us again. I'll be introducing some community concepts of a community that I'm going to be putting together. I'm also doing a challenge at the end of April. So you're going to want to tune in next week to get info on all of that and much, much more, I'm sure. So that is all the time we have today. Russ, you ready to take us out?
Never fear, the Black Belt Bots are here, presenting another epic experience with your host, RJ Redden.